Initially, I decided to just maybe do a short video or no review at all, but then I changed my mind, so let's go ahead with the review. It's not going to be very long because I already spoke at length about the movie Novocaine on Tuesday when I did a live stream with Off the Cover, Kyle Corwith, and Deleted Scenes because Novocaine was the Regal Mystery Movie Monday. It was also a movie that made my list of most anticipated. And my basic takeaway of it, well, let me get into the synopsis for those who never saw the live stream on Tuesday. Novocaine is about a man who has this disorder. I cannot remember what it's called, but we all have probably heard of it. It's basically where he feels no pain. He can get stabbed, won't hurt him. And he's a bank manager. He has this crush on this woman who works at the bank. They get to know each other, and then a bank robbery occurs and she is taken hostage, and he decides to go after her to try to rescue her. So that's the simple setup for the story. It's about an hour and 40, maybe close to an hour 50. So, counting credits, obviously, maybe an hour 45 or a little bit less. So it's not necessarily a super quick watch, but it's not terribly long either. Very simple plot, like I said, interesting premise with the whole setup of his character. And as he's going on his rescue mission, he gets injured a lot. It doesn't hurt him in the traditional sense, but clearly he is dealing with the ramifications of these injuries. He has a lot of blood loss. Sometimes he has to take epinephrine, which is basically adrenaline, to keep him going. My takeaway from this was that I liked it, but I didn't love it. Also, a phrase that kept coming into my head when I was thinking about this was fun, but forgettable. It's okay. I wasn't super crazy about the character that Amber Midthunder played, which was his love interest. She honestly doesn't do much at all for me as an actor. I wasn't super impressed with Prey, and kind of feel the same way about her performance in here. She's just okay. She's not the worst, but she's far from spectacular for me. It also didn't help that her character, things that are revealed about her character make her, well, it kind of complicates the feelings that the audience would have for her. And as we discussed in our live stream on Tuesday, there is a better way that could have been written for her character that could give her an arc that's more compelling for the audience. And I agree with that take on it. I think that would have worked a lot better. I also do agree with the frustration and exasperation of Jack Quaid being cast in this role. He was okay. Jack Quaid doesn't really bother me overly much. However, something that I have noticed about him is, unfortunately, he does tend to play the same type of character over and over again. He was very similar to the character that he played in Companion, even though his character has different stuff about him that is revealed, but basically the way he plays him is the same as the way he plays the character Huey. The same that he played the character in the Scream movie that he was in. What was it, 5 or 6 or something? Whatever, I've lost track. Anyway, he doesn't seem to have a lot of range. I feel like his father is a better actor than he is. And that's unfortunate. I liked what someone else had mentioned in the live stream, that an actor like Dylan O'Brien probably could have done a much better job. I agree with this because he's a really good actor and I feel like he's got more range. So it probably would have worked better to have someone else in this role, and either a different actor playing the character that Amber played or a completely different storyline for her character. Having said this, I didn't outright hate this movie, but it just didn't leave the impression on me that I had been hoping that it would. There were multiple moments of comedy, for example, the way different fights would go and the injuries that were being inflicted. There's a really funny scene where his character, it was funny to pretty much the entire audience, where his character goes into this house that's been booby-trapped, and the stuff that happens to him in the house, it's funny because he's puzzled. He feels this sensation in his back. Oh, what the heck is that? And he looks around and he's been impaled, in the back by this weapon. Moments like that were kind of funny. It does stretch the limits of your ability to buy into the story, though. I feel like that despite the shots of adrenaline he gives himself in here, I just don't think he could have feasibly done the stuff that he did in this movie, given the injuries that he suffered. The injuries are pretty horrific and gross, and especially one at the very end. Ooh, everyone was cringing when all these different things would happen and just making these noises of, oh, because it was painful to watch, because you could identify even though he couldn't physically feel it or whatever. You know, it's okay. It's all right. I do appreciate that they did something different. It was, you know, an original sort of concept, not, as we discussed on Tuesday, not like a sequel or a remake or whatever. So I did like that about it. It's certainly not going to go on my list of most disappointing or worst films or whatever, but I don't think it's going to occupy a spot on my top 10. Unfortunately, I am glad that so far still 2025 is holding up to be a pretty enjoyable year as far as the movies go. Enjoyable in the sense that I haven't really been pissed off by too many films, just one so far. So I'm happy about that, even though I do feel that this movie lacked in some regards. It could have been so much better, but I wasn't really bored. It was an enjoyable enough way to pass almost 2 hours of my life. So I'm not really complaining overly. Just kind of wish that I had come away enjoying it more than I ultimately did when it was over. So I guess I don't have anything else to say about Novocaine. If you guys check it out, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.